my angle keeps him waiting. He will be able to get his posture, and we're going to look at what happens when he does that. But it's not the same as him being here and me being flat, where he now can press off the floor with both hands. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit different. That's going to be more advantageous for him. When we're out on that angle, it's going to make it quite difficult for him to posture up with any strength whatsoever when we keep that frame. All right, let's look at the relationship between Williams guard and an overhook guard and a clamp guard, and some differences amongst the three. All three of these are guards that have this in common. The arm is around my waist. Okay? Williams guard, we look at that, has a frame. It's a frame-based component, or a wrap. I guess it would be more importantly defined by a leg, an overwrap of my own leg. That's a distinct difference between the three different positions. All three, when I have Williams, when I have an overhook, or when I have a clamp, we would love to have an angle, and we do have an angle for the most part. Of the three, an overhook is going to be the most difficult to keep or maintain that angle. The problem, the inherent problem with an overhook is that there is nothing stopping Kyle from driving my back onto the floor and flattening me out. So, although an overhook is a great position to be in, eventually it will degrade. He'll be able to flatten me out, he'll be able to repummel this arm back to the inside and negate my attacks if I cannot or did not attack him while I was at an angle. So we have to remember those things. Difference between the Williams guard, we can use the frame to keep Kyle at bay. When someone drives into you, this is a good concept to think about. We'll say that Kyle keeps his right arm on the inside bicep, inside thighs, and he drives into me. The thing is this. You can see the apparent angle go from my head to his. That's the line of connection. Okay? This being straight over my head, that being where he is right now. So we might have a relative maybe 30 degrees difference in angle there, more or less. We'll be able to keep that angle for the most part if I have a frame, or as I mentioned earlier, which we'll take a look at briefly in a moment, I can move to a different angle if he drives hard enough. So if he's driving and driving and driving and driving and he continues to drive, I can move my angle relative to him instead of relative to the ground, as we looked at earlier, and still maintain some sort of angular advantage. On an overhook, great guard, but as he drives, it's very difficult to maintain an angular advantage. I can move my hips out once again, but it's going to be a fight to keep. I can try to move my angle out to the side, but because I'm connected to him in a way with an overhook with no real frame to keep him away, it's fairly easy for him to flatten me. On the clamp guard, you'll notice that the frame is on that left leg, that inside left leg. We're able to disrupt his posture with a leg, much like the Williams guard, where we're able to use our leg over the top to keep his head down for a relatively decent amount of time, not forever, but for a decent amount of time. And we're able to keep him away again. If he drives in hard, you see there's an angular advantage that's relatively easy to keep because of this frame. We've made a slightly different frame. It's a shin frame on the far arm. But again, his head is nowhere over mine. It's at an angle off to the side. And that's what we really want. So angular advantages come from Williams guard. Angular advantages come from the clamp guard. An overhook is a happy medium between the two. However, we'll lose our angular advantage over time. That's when we'll look at later of how to use an overhook guard to get to something like the clamp guard where we can gain that angular advantage back. All right, let's dive into some attacks based on the Williams guard. This first one, I believe, is unique to this guard itself. and the frame is going to bring its uniqueness. It's going to set. This is where I think if I had to compare the three Williams overhook and clamp, this is one that's going to be there on Williams that is not going to necessarily be there on the others, and you're going to see why. I tell people that when they get good at this guard and they go and they use it in a competition setting, this is probably the first finish that they're going to get. And